from EBSB to high school, contextualizing the EBSB math program. Welcome, my name is Karina Hui, and I am the 8th grade math teacher at the East Bay School for Boys in Berkeley. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce the key shifts that the Common Core standards make from the previous standards, to look at the progress of transitioning to Common Core standards in different high school programs, and to consider what an appropriate math placement might be for your son in his freshman year. Research comparing the previous United States math curriculum to high-performing countries criticized the United States curriculum as a mile wide and an inch deep. Textbook problems that give students all the information necessary and name the specific procedure required have been criticized for removing the cognitive load for students. To increase the rigor, the Common Core standards place equal emphasis on conceptual understanding, problem solving, and application of skills. The Common Core standards also include standards for mathematical practice, which could be called habits of mind or approach to learning. These have value beyond specific grade level content because they are important beyond high school. Tech companies, for example, when I interviewed at Google, are including critical thinking questions in their interviews to look at how people are problem solving and modeling with mathematics. These standards are supporting our students in developing the confidence with these skills now. This screen shows the topics that were covered in the old Algebra 1 standards that were generally taught in 8th grade, and where these standards have moved in the new Common Core. The Common Core inclusion of statistics and geometry is an alternative to a one-year narrow focus on algebra, and offers a rich and integrated treatment of math that allows students to develop a solid background for all high school classes. The intention behind focusing on less of the algebra standards is to allow for deeper conceptual understanding and reasoning in preparation for when more abstraction is required by students to prove algebraic and geometric relationships in more advanced courses. When I spoke to 8th grade teachers in the South Bay this summer at my summer program at Stanford, they were saying that classes that actually covered every topic in the old algebra had to cover a new topic every day. And their concern was that covering all of the material meant that student understanding was very shallow. The majority of 8th grade teachers teaching the traditional Algebra 1 were actually realistically covering the first half of the topics, which means that the current allocation of topics from Algebra 1 in Common Core reflects the current practice with the old standards. High school math programs have not all transitioned to Common Core. I have interviewed different schools, private schools, parochial schools, public schools, and I asked them what they wanted of the middle school students to be prepared for high school. And I've included some main points here. When I was speaking to Lick, they shared that their focus of their department is now on reasoning and understanding rather than just memorizing rules. Lick also emphasizes the habits of mind, just like the Common Core's standards for mathematical practice, because they believe that if students have the courage to reason mathematically, they can approach any kind of problem regardless of what course they're in. Both the South Bay public school teachers and Bishop O'Dowd shared their concern about gaps when students are being pushed to accelerate. They would rather see depth over breadth because inappropriate acceleration means that students will have shallow understanding, and those gaps will hurt them later on when they move to more algebra and advanced topics. Algebra is the most important foundation for most high school mathematics. Right now, there's a trend that people are really concerned about skipping algebra in freshman year and starting ninth grade in geometry. However, that is only recommended if students truly have a strong foundation in algebra, because students will need their foundation in Algebra 2 and pre-calculus and calculus. And the algebra offered in freshman year of high school, especially if a high school has transitioned to Common Core, builds on and is not the same as the algebra in 8th grade. Let's take a look at two different high schools. On the top is the Lick-Wilmerding progression from algebra to geometry, algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, and statistics. And most schools that have not transitioned to Common Core, their math program looks pretty similar. And then below is the Berkeley High progression that has transitioned to Common Core. The thing that I wanted to point out in both cases is that schools have a lot of flexibility in terms of accelerating during high school, and in most cases, all students will end up in calculus by senior year. There's no rush for students in ninth grade to start in an accelerated course, because since all students will have the opportunity to take calculus by senior year, even if your student does calculus in senior year of high school or accelerates beyond it, if your son wants to do a math-related major in college, most universities still require that he retakes calculus at the college level. So that phrase of race to nowhere is applicable here, is just to make sure that you're considering what is developmentally appropriate for where your son is when he's starting high school. Hope this helps. Please email or get in touch if you have any further questions.